There are many types of poisons and toxins in the world, some of which are absolutely lethal. And today we are going to show you the most deadly substances on Earth, coming from various origins: animal, mineral, plant, and even laboratory-made. Some of these substances have been used as biological weapons, others in cosmetic procedures. And believe it or not, there are some that, despite being dangerous, are used daily. The first thing you need to know is that a poisonous substance has different levels of toxicity. It can cause anything from mild irritation to a quick death. And to measure how dangerous a substance is, we use a scale called LD50, or median lethal dose. This measure indicates the amount of a substance that can kill half of a population within 14 days. Now that you understand the severity, let's dive into the most potent toxins on the planet. 1. Botulinum toxin, the most potent natural poison. Botulinum toxin is widely recognized as the most toxic natural substance known to exist. It is produced by the bacterium Clostridium botulinum, which can be found in low-oxygen environments like spoiled or poorly preserved canned foods. An incredibly tiny amount of this toxin is enough to cause devastating effects on the human body. To give you an idea of its potency, just 0.4 nanograms per kilogram is sufficient to kill an adult human. For a person weighing about 50 kilograms, this would be roughly 20 nanograms, an amount invisible to the naked eye, but lethal enough to paralyze muscles and cause death within a few hours. This toxin acts directly on the nervous system, blocking the release of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter responsible for transmitting signals between nerves and muscles. The result is progressive muscle paralysis, which can eventually affect the respiratory muscles, leading to respiratory failure and death by asphyxiation. Because of this, botulinum toxin is often cited as being 10,000 times more potent than snake venom, making it one of the most feared and studied substances in the field of toxicology. But as curious as it may seem, this deadly poison has found a surprisingly common application: aesthetics. A highly diluted and purified form of the toxin is used in cosmetic treatments, most commonly known by the commercial name Botox. Botox works by relaxing muscles, smoothing out wrinkles, and fine lines. In addition to combating signs of aging, small doses of this toxin are also used to treat medical conditions such as muscle disorders, chronic migraines, and even some eye conditions like strabismus. It's important to note that even in its diluted form, Botox must be administered with extreme care. The healthcare professionals who perform these procedures are highly trained to ensure that the toxin is injected in the correct amounts and into the right areas, avoiding complications. Any error in handling or dosage can lead to serious consequences, given the potency of the substance. For this reason, the use of botulinum toxin in cosmetic procedures should always be performed by specialists who are well-versed in its risks and benefits. Botulinum toxin serves as a perfect example of how an extremely dangerous substance can also be a powerful ally in modern medicine when used in a controlled and mindful manner. However, it's crucial to remember that improper use or incorrect concentrations can quickly turn an aesthetic treatment into a deadly hazard. 2. Ricin, the hidden danger in the castor plant. Now let's talk about ricin, an extremely toxic substance that originates from the castor plant, Ricinus communis. While the castor plant is common and easily found in many parts of the world, few people know that it harbors one of the most potent plant-based poisons. In its seeds, which appear harmless, resides a protein called ricin. The seemingly innocent appearance of these seeds contrasts sharply with their immense lethal potential. To give you an idea of its toxicity, just 8 castor seeds are enough to kill an adult weighing approximately 70 kilograms. In children, the lethal dose is even smaller. A single seed can be fatal. This is because ricin disrupts the functioning of human cells by inhibiting the production of essential proteins. Without these proteins, cells die, leading to organ failure and death. Ricin poisoning begins with symptoms such as severe nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. In more advanced stages, severe dehydration and organ failure occur, with death possible within a few days. Unfortunately, there is no specific antidote for ricin, making this poison all the more dangerous. Historically, ricin has been exploited as a biological weapon due to its lethality and ease of extraction. The process of obtaining ricin from castor seeds is relatively simple, increasing the risk of its use in deliberate attacks. One of the most famous fictional portrayals of ricin as a poison was in the TV series Breaking Bad, where the protagonist Walter White uses it to poison one of the characters. Although fictional, the destructive power of ricin portrayed in the series reflects the reality of its deadly potential. The threat of ricin isn't just a matter of fiction or intentional attacks. Accidents involving the ingestion of castor seeds, while rare, can be fatal. Typically, the poison becomes dangerous if the seeds are chewed or crushed, releasing the ricin inside. Swallowing intact seeds may not be lethal, but it still poses a significant risk, especially for children. In addition to its lethal toxicity, ricin is chemically stable, meaning it can be stored without refrigeration for long periods without losing its potency. This stability makes it even more dangerous as a weapon, as it can be used months or even years after extraction. Despite all these dangers, the castor plant also has benign uses, such as in the production of castor oil, which is widely used in the pharmaceutical and cosmetic industries. The process of extracting the oil eliminates the ricin, making the final product safe for human use. The challenge lies in ensuring that the handling of this plant is done safely and under controlled conditions, especially in areas where the plant grows abundantly. Thus, although the castor plant is common, the ricin it contains is a substance with an impressive lethal power. Whether used intentionally as a weapon or accidentally ingested, the danger of this toxin should always be taken seriously. 3. Sarin, the most lethal chemical weapon created by man. Sarin is one of the most frightening examples of how science, when misdirected, can produce incredibly dangerous substances. Developed in 1938 in Germany, sarin was initially conceived as a pesticide. However, its devastating effects on the nervous system quickly transformed it into one of the most lethal chemical weapons ever created. Today, sarin is classified as a weapon of mass destruction, and its use is banned by international conventions due to its extreme danger. Sarin is an odorless, colorless, and tasteless gas, making it particularly insidious. A person can be in a contaminated area without realizing it, inhaling the gas without being aware of the danger. Once in the body, sarin disrupts communication between nerves and muscles by acting as an inhibitor of the enzyme acetylcholinesterase. Without this enzyme to regulate nerve impulses, muscles enter constant contraction, leading to paralysis. In severe cases, the respiratory muscles are affected, resulting in respiratory failure and death by asphyxiation within minutes. Even the slightest contact with sarin gas can trigger a series of severe symptoms. Initial signs include blurred vision, breathing difficulties, nausea, increased salivation, tremors, and convulsions. As the poison spreads through the body, the victim may lose consciousness, and without rapid medical intervention, death can occur in less than 10 minutes. The most notorious incident involving sarin occurred in 1995 in Japan, when the religious group Aum Shinrikyo carried out an attack on the Tokyo subway. On the morning of March 20th, group members released sarin gas in 5 different trains on the subway network using improvised packages that released the gas slowly. The terrorists punctured the packages with the tips of umbrellas while traveling on the subway, dispersing the poison among the passengers. The attack resulted in the deaths of 12 people, and over 5,000 individuals became seriously ill, suffering the debilitating effects of gas exposure. This attack shocked the world and highlighted how dangerous sarin can be when used in enclosed, densely populated areas. Although the Tokyo subway attack was devastating, the consequences could have been even more severe if emergency teams and hospitals had not acted swiftly to treat the injured. One of the main reasons why some lives were saved was the existence of antidotes that, when administered quickly, can reverse the effects of sarin. Treatment for sarin poisoning involves the administration of 2 main medications, atropine and pralidoxime. Atropine blocks acetylcholine receptors in the muscles, preventing continuous muscle contraction that leads to paralysis, while pralidoxime helps reactivate the enzyme acetylcholinesterase, restoring normal communication between nerves and muscles. These medications must be administered as quickly as possible, ideally within the first minutes after exposure, to give the victim a real chance of survival. Sarin did not disappear after the Tokyo attack. It has been used in other conflicts, including the Syrian civil war, where reports of chemical weapon attacks have highlighted the continued use of this deadly substance. Sarin remains a real threat in war and terrorism scenarios, despite stringent international prohibitions. This substance serves as a grim reminder of how science can be used for both good and evil, depending on who wields it. Originally developed to combat agricultural pests, sarin has become one of the most feared chemical weapons, and its rapid lethality requires health and safety authorities to be constantly prepared to respond to potential attacks or accidental releases. The speed at which sarin acts on the human body makes time a crucial factor in treating its victims. The readiness of medical teams and the availability of antidotes are vital to mitigating damage and saving lives. Therefore, in the event of suspected exposure, seeking immediate medical attention is absolutely essential. 4. Lead, the silent killer in our everyday lives. Finally, we turn to a toxic substance that, although not as immediate or lethal as sarin or ricin, can cause deep and irreversible damage over time: lead. Unlike rapid poisons, lead is a silent killer. Its toxicity accumulates slowly in the body, gradually affecting health, particularly in children and the elderly. The danger of lead lies in its continuous and prolonged exposure, which makes its long-term effects devastating. Historically, lead was widely used in various everyday products. Since ancient times, it was a common material in construction, such as in Roman plumbing, and was also a popular ingredient in paints and gasoline until the mid-20th century. However, as science began to better understand its harmful effects on health, lead use became restricted in many countries. Despite these restrictions, lead is still present in many objects and materials, such as batteries, electronics, ammunition, jewelry, and even toys. When ingested or inhaled in small particles, lead can accumulate in the bones, liver, and kidneys. Over time, it affects the central nervous system, which can lead to a range of cognitive issues from mild problems to severe neurological disorders. Additionally, lead has a significant impact on the cardiovascular system, increasing the risk of hypertension and heart disease, and is also associated with kidney and reproductive issues. Lead poisoning is particularly dangerous for children, as their developing bodies are more susceptible to the damage caused by this substance. Children exposed to lead can suffer a range of serious consequences, including developmental delays, learning difficulties, behavioral disorders, and even a significant reduction in intellectual capacity. Unfortunately, these changes are often permanent, impairing the potential life prospects of these children. Even at lower doses, lead poses a health risk over time. Adults exposed to lead, especially in occupational settings such as battery factories or foundries, may experience chronic issues such as headaches, muscle weakness, abdominal pain, and in more severe cases, impairment of brain function. The effects of lead on the human body are cumulative and difficult to reverse, making prolonged exposure extremely dangerous. Lead poisoning remains a public health concern, especially in urban areas where industrial waste, old paint in homes, and lead plumbing still exist. Although many countries have adopted strict regulations to limit lead use in consumer products and construction, it remains a serious problem in various parts of the world. In 2019, nearly half of the chemical-related deaths were attributed to lead. Fortunately, treatments are available for lead poisoning, particularly if diagnosed in its early stages. Chelation therapy, for example, is a procedure that uses medications to bind with lead and remove it from the body through urine. However, prevention is always the best solution, and avoiding contact with lead-containing materials is the most effective way to protect oneself. This includes replacing old plumbing, avoiding exposure to dust from old paint, and paying attention to the provenance of products, especially toys and children's items. Therefore, while lead does not cause a quick and visible death like other toxins, it poses a significant long-term health threat. Its gradual and often silent effects make lead poisoning even more insidious, particularly for the most vulnerable, such as children. This is an example of how continuous exposure to toxic substances in the environment can have devastating and permanent consequences. These are just a few of the most deadly substances on the planet. It's astonishing how something so dangerous can be so close to us, isn't it? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next video.